Well, hello, and I'm so excited that I am now welcoming Byan and Jen. Hello, how are you guys?
Good. Hello. How are you?
Oh, I'm amazing, I'm amazing. And whereabout are you now on your adventures at the
Uh,
moment?
we are on the Atlantic coast of France at the moment.
And where is it that you have been the last kind of couple of weeks there? Have you been a different couple of different places?
Yeah,
Yeah,
some London, some different places in Spain, some different places in France.
the United States, Australia. Yeah, we've been bouncing
Just
around a little bit. Yeah.
just a few places, not that many.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. So, and there's one thing that I would love to start this off with because I must say, I just love looking at you guys. You just look so happy. You've got like, from me, you look like you've got the perfect love story.
Oh,
And
beautiful.
yeah. And do you know why I say that? Is because, yes, I've been with each other in a close confined space on a boat for so long doing your travels. And I think if any of my previous partners or my partner was doing that, I probably would want to throw them overboard. So you've got you've got to have some, you've got to have this compassion towards each other and being able to work as a team. So I think that's really special.
Yeah,
We agree.
I think we have a real
Yeah.
connection, and I think it's gonna last.
Yes.
Think it's gonna last. Well, apparently we have a lot to talk about after this. So.
Yeah. But no, I always think that. I think, or even like if it was my children or my kids or whatever, being in a like confined space, especially when you're in the middle of the ocean, with just the two of yous, you must work really, really well together as a team and navigating your
Yeah,
feelings and emotions and basically navigating where you are in your journey,
yeah.
actually.
I think, Michelle, it really helped that when Brian and I met, he traveled a lot for work, and we didn't get very much time together, and we were just missing each other from the very beginning. And fast forward, many years later, and we decided to just quit our jobs and move in together and into a van and just be together 24/7 and just see what happened. And that wasn't only a relationship decision, it was a full lifestyle decision. But just see what happened if we didn't live conventionally anymore and we actually spent quality time together and we pretty much followed our passion in our hearts.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's phenomenal. And when was it that you actually both met then? How did you both meet? How did the meeting of you two come around?
Jen moved in next door. It was
Seriously.
it was
Yeah.
so easy. Yeah, she literally moved in next door, and we kind of stalked each other from 10, 15 meters away.
Pleasant stalking.
Yeah, yeah, pleasant
Not,
stuff. Yeah.
yeah.
And then
Well, I the binoculars.
Yeah.
I finally invited her to a birthday party, and she never left. And that was 23 years ago.
Oh wow. Oh wow, that is amazing. I can't
Yeah.
believe that. The neighbour next door and then there you go. And then
Yeah.
the
And honestly, to kind of shine a light a little on this is neither one of us really knew that we would ever like fall in love. We'd had some relationships that didn't really work out so good, and we
Mhm.
didn't feel like we were our best selves in relationships. And so, I mean, we are so fortunate. We feel so grateful, and we do appreciate every single day, week, year of it because we didn't ever see it coming. I definitely didn't think that I'd ever have a long-term relationship.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. And sometimes it is the best things can happen is when you're not looking for it or you're not expecting it and it's not something you put in your radar and
yeah,
then it just ends up happening totally authentically like what
yeah,
happened to you. It's like you've got manifesting to be living next door at the most unexpected time.
right? Yeah,
I mean, we also had to work hard for it, right? Like we're polar
Hmm.
opposites. Everything we do is in exactly opposite directions. And so conversation's not easy, communication's not easy, but
No. Mhm.
we figured it out over the years. And obviously, as you say, like we spent now 13 years, almost 14 years in very small spaces, either a van or now a boat.
Mhm.
There's no other choice, right? I mean, we either deal with it or you're right, somebody's going overboard or something bad.
That's it. It's like, where you go for a swim.
Yeah.
Which is so nice and it's so lovely to hear because so many people would kind of drop it and say, that's it, I'm done, having like difference of opinions or different things, whereas you've
Yeah.
had to work through it, which has been nice, and it must be evolving for you as well. It must have evolved as basically individuals, but as a couple as well, because you've had to navigate and work through the awkwardness or the weirdness that's arisen.
Yeah, we've had to work through a lot. And
Mhm.
I think I learned this gift from Brian, which is work through the small things when they happen, because when there are big things, you have already created a skill set of being able to work through things in the moment and not
Yep.
like run from them or hide from them or let them grow even bigger. And I
Hmm.
think that's been really it's changed my life to actually think of it that way. And I think it's
Yeah.
been really, really amazing, especially because we are polar opposites. Like we
Yes.
usually come to something from a different perspective or a different angle or a different expectation. And
Mhm.
so there's a lot of talking going on here
Yeah.
to get on the same page and to stay on the same page.
Which again is still amazing because communication with anything is key, isn't it? So you've really learned that skill of communication,
Yeah,
which
and
is awesome.
we're not pros at it. We mess up all the time, but we we both know that like we want that positive outcome, and so it can start like really we can really be like confused at the beginning, and then it gets clearer and clearer, and at the end we're always like, I'm sorry too. And wow, I really
Yeah.
like that point you made. Yeah,
Oh,
ridiculous.
that's brilliant. It's so cute. You're so cute. And so when you kind of moved in together, so did you stay in a house after you met and then decided to go into
Yeah,
the van life?
excuse me, I owned a house at the time, so we had the tough conversation that said we're going to try this, and if it doesn't work out, you have to leave, right?
Because I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
renting
Yeah,
and he owned, so it would have been easier for me.
Yeah, that's it.
that's about as far as our boundaries ever went.
Yeah.
Um, so we stayed in the house for several years, trying to be normal, trying to fit in, but we also were. I mean, we're happy together, but we didn't get a lot of time together. I was traveling 26 days a month or more, and
Oh.
we couldn't fit in. We tried to just leave it at work, enjoy our weekends, and we just felt like despite having good jobs and good lives and good friends, we just couldn't find it, right? We just couldn't settle
Hmm.
in. And so
Hmm.
eventually Jen came up with this crazy idea that we should just quit our jobs and run away to a beach in Mexico. And I thought she was absolutely insane.
Amazing.
Nobody does that, right?
It was,
What about the 401k and the retirement? Um, but it finally dawned on me that she wasn't kidding and she wasn't stopping the conversation. And eventually, I was like, she's going to go without me if I don't get on board.
Yeah.
I was like, well, this is when you decide to make change in life, right? And so we kind of started setting goals. We had a mountain of debt that we worked ourselves out of. Tried to pay off all that debt. Eventually, started trying to save money. Moved into smaller and smaller and smaller houses to save more money. If the goal was to move into a van, obviously we better get ready, right? And so we just kept purging more and more stuff, and that
Hmm.
process took a while. And we'd kind of decided we needed to save enough for 1 year on the road, living on a beach, eating tacos in Mexico. That was our plan. And eventually we went in, quit the jobs, had already convinced ourselves that there was no number that they could convince us to stay, which was amazing. And
Hmm.
then we just drove away.
That's just phenomenal. And it must have been a process, like you said, going from house to house and deciding, because you get so attached to your belongings or memories or things, and everybody does
yeah.
it, you attach a memory to it. So try to decide what it is that's essential that comes with you on your new journey. So that must have been a process, even trying to, what stays, what goes, what's important, what's not.
It was definitely a process. Like we would purge, we would downsize, and we would still have so much stuff. And so then we would do it again. It was just just a little bit at a time. And then, I mean, finally it was like, all right, it's time to go. Like if it doesn't fit in the van with us and the dog, then it's going, we're donating it. And
Yeah.
that's what we did.
And we set rules along the way, right? I mean, after the yard sales and after the garage sales, and
Mm-hmm.
we finally got to the point where we're like, okay, we're going to close the lid on this bin and we're going to put it in that room and shut the door. And if we haven't gone into that bin in, first it was a year, then it was 6 months, then it was 3 months, then you don't open it, because the second you open the lid, you're going to start pulling things back out.
You're keeping all that stuff.
You push it
Yeah.
out the door and put a free sign on it, or you go donate it to the local shelter, right? But you don't open the lid. Whatever you do, you don't open the lid.
That's a really good way to think of things, because I know myself, and if, like, in your houses you've got attics or you've got cupboards and you just put things in boxes, and it's not until you pull the box out and start unpacking things you go, I forgot I had this. I've not seen it for like 5.5 years. So
Yeah.
if you've done without it for that long and it's been part of a memory, you should just, leave it there. So that's a very strong mindset and process. Love that. But you've
If,
had to go through that to be living in a van.
if it's important,
Yeah.
right? I mean, at some point to us,
True.
I mean, we had a goal, right? So it was important for the goal. For some people, it's fine. I mean, if we thought we were going to stay in that house until we died, we were going to have kids there, we were going to live a normal life. As we started changing, suddenly the weight started lifting. So the more things we got rid of, the more free we felt, the easier it was to transition from place to place. And so change also started to go from this thing that was deeply terrifying to this thing that got easier and easier every time we did it, because we had less stuff to take with us, right? We had less things that we had to think through and work through, much less stuff to pack into boxes and carry around, right?
Yeah. Totally, like a total freeing, like an absolute, yeah, this was the start of the freedom process for you. It's
Yeah.
phenomenal.
And also the smaller spaces meant smaller rent,
Mm-hmm.
smaller expenses for, all across the board. And then also less to clean. Like it really is, it's bigger than just, downsizing, working your way into like a small space. It's everything starts to decrease and reduce a little and become just more simple.
Yeah, more sympathetic life. I like that.
Yeah.
And so, what was the process for you for when you decided to, like, obviously save, and you must have had to save up some money as well to kind of get you through. And did you decide to just totally leave your jobs when you were in the van, or were you still navigating your jobs at the same time as that?
Now, at the time, we couldn't imagine how to, we knew people that could work remotely. They had certain skills like web page development and things like that.
Mm-hmm,
We did
mm-hmm,
not possess these skills. And so for us, we couldn't imagine any way to make money on the road. It was all about trying to downsize and change our habits enough to save enough money to then go and play or find ourselves for a year. I mean, luckily for us, that was 13 years ago. So since then, we've had to reinvent several times. We've started businesses. We've, renovated houses. We've done any number of things to keep it going. But at least at that point, it was just about how do we shake it up? How do we get out of the box that we feel stuck in
mm-hmm.
to try something else on for size?
Oh, that's awesome. So you've actually, like, done renovations and helped other people with things to try and, like, source an income while you've been doing this, really? Oh,
Yeah, at one point, this was actually really hard for me. Jen doesn't seem to be bothered by any of it, but by the time you get to the age where we left in our mid 30s, most of us have this very clear idea of what we're supposed to do, what safety looks like, how much savings we should have in the bank.
mhm.
We didn't have any of that stuff. And so for the first year or so when we left, I was just tortured. I mean, it was really hard for me to just relax and enjoy, because I felt like we were getting behind, right? We were going to fall behind,
Mm-hmm,
be able to
mm-hmm.
get the job back. And it took a long time to kind of relax into that. And at one point along the way, I promised Jen we would never take another project for money, or at least not solely for money.
Yeah.
And I thought that also meant, pure doom. There was no option. If we didn't get money, it wasn't going to last. But then, funny things started happening. I mean, Jen always says, the universe will provide.
Mm-hmm.
I've always struggled with that. But the longer we stayed gone and the more we started doing things just for passion, the more opportunities also started popping up. And so whether that's because we're following our passion or whether it's because we have enough free time, but suddenly there were these opportunities that just kind of kept passing
Like,
by us. And we had the
yeah.
time and the energy and the passion to grab onto them. And so some of those things obviously were just to help others for free, many of them. Some of those things slowly developed from helping others for free to, you know, Jen actually would say, like, you're awake at 3 a.m., you haven't slept in 3 days helping these people. Maybe it's time we actually ask for a check, right?
And you're loving it.
Yeah.
You're passionate about what you're doing. You're like giggling, you're giddy about it. You don't even want to sleep. You don't want to eat. You just want to work on this project and you're doing it for free. And like, you barely know this person. Like, it's different if it's your friend or your family or
Yeah.
direct neighbor, but now you're doing it for people that we don't even know. Maybe like start to ask for a little money. And so Bry put a name on it and created a little business, and it turned into an income stream, and it also fed him creatively.
Oh, that's amazing. And what was that you were doing then? Was this
There's,
online?
there's been a couple now. So at one point when we decided, after we'd traveled for a couple years, we decided to go home and try to be normal, right?
Okay.
And we had the conversation on the plane home. We're like, okay, all of our friends are having kids. We're gonna have kids. We're gonna move back in. Are we okay? And we're like, yeah, I think so. So we tried to fit in and be normal. It did not work. Um, but we also had someone renting our house, and so we're like, we can't afford the mortgage. We don't have a job. We haven't had income for a couple years. So we tried to convert our garage into a small home for us while they paid for the mortgage.
Uh-huh.
And again, just for us. It was meant to be a sink in the corner. We could pull the van right in there. Nobody would know we were there. And then the designer in me took over, and it turned into a much larger design project. And as we did that, most of our neighbors thought we were building a bar, just due to the glass doors that we put on it and the fancy things. Yeah. So they'd walk by in the evening, like, "Oh, what are you guys serving? Like, what can I get?" And we're like, "Come on over. Like, let's have a conversation."
We're having
They're like coming in with their bottles and their stuff, like party.
And so it led to more and more conversations. We helped many for free do the same thing we were doing, like designing a small, flexible home that would either allow them to rent it out for income, or as they got older and the kids moved out, they could move into the small home and rent out the house, right? So it was kind of an
Oh.
evolution throughout life of a way for them to try and free themselves from being so reliant upon that job, right?
Yep, yep, and paying
and
that mortgage and stuff. Yeah.
yeah, and right when we were doing this, just because it fit our lifestyle, it started being kind of a thing that
Everyone else.
started trending, which was living in tiny homes or living in accessory dwelling units, or
Uh-huh.
Airbnb started. And so
Mm-hmm.
people were like, oh, I could get a little, mortgage helper from Airbnb if I had a little like detached bedroom or like a
Yeah.
little bed in my garden that I could rent out or whatever. So it simultaneously also became a kind of a popular thing. And ours was one of the first ones.
So
And
yous were the trendsetters then.
we
Yous were,
weren't,
yous were,
we weren't, we were just accidentally in the
Unintentional.
right place at the right
yeah.
time. And Bryce, because he had designed our garage in a really unique and sort of groovy, dwelled out way, it got some photography, it got some press, and then he got some awards and some marketing over it without us even trying, just accident.
It's phenomenal. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
it was pretty cool.
It's funny what
That
happens
is.
when you follow something just for passion. Like it really is. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
still not yet on board with Jen that the universe is just going to solve all the problems, but it is. I'm having to open up and admit, like, it's pretty amazing that we've now been doing this for almost 14 years, right? So we did that
Yeah.
for a while, and we finally decided we wanted to be traveling again. And we had
Mm-hmm.
designed and built our first camper van. So we designed another one that was bigger and more modern. And then kind of a similar thing happened where every time we'd go camping or we'd go to the store and open the door, everybody would be peeking inside and asking for tours.
That's pretty. Who
Oh,
designed that?
really?
I'm like, she did.
And so we helped several people for free, and then eventually did the same thing. We had friends that came to us and said, "Look, I know you don't want to do this. You want to keep traveling, but we don't like our jobs. Teach us what you do and let us run the company."
Oh,
We thought, well, that's a pretty good.
yeah, absolutely. Oh, I think you'll come back in a little minute. I think it's just frozen. Oh, I hope to come back. There we go. Right.
Sorry for the interruption.
Oh, that's okay. We'll edit and push it all together. But yes, it's what happens. We're far apart, but this is a good thing that we're still able to connect and record
For sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
in one place. So thankful for all technology.
Yeah.
Um, so sorry. So you were saying that everybody started nosing into the vans, saying, "Oh, that looks awesome," and then you were getting your friend was gonna,
Yeah.
they were gonna, yeah,
So at some point we put a name on it, designed a logo, and started helping people build camper vans of their own so that they could go find the same kind of freedom that we had found, right?
Hmm.
So whether that was just designing it and building some cabinetry for them, or whether we took their van in and built the whole thing, but really became kind of an escape for people. And it started very small. But then right around COVID, when everything started to go
hmm
crazy,
hmm
and we were living on a boat at that time and kind of starting to get worried about finances on our own, everybody suddenly needed a reason to get out of the house. And, the business just took off because everybody wanted a van. And so we
yep,
went from helping just a couple people, a year to helping a whole lot of people every month. So yeah, again, not something we saw coming. We just kind of
no,
did something because it fit our lifestyle.
hmm
And then others seemed to be interested in either learning about how to do the same thing or having us actually help them do the same thing, right?
That's so cool, and it is, and it's like everything that obviously has happened, like business or opportunities, it's just because you just have been totally open and doing stuff that you've been like, oh, I want to turn my hand to that. I'm quite good at that. Let's see how this goes. And
Yeah.
like you said, because you've got that passion and drive for it, it's like you've been it's like your energy towards this passion that you're doing into this project. It's like a magnet. It's like you've pulled people to you, people, circumstances, and opportunities your way.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We do meet a lot of amazing people that way. Yeah,
We
we're
do.
very fortunate that
Yeah.
way.
And when was it that you then moved? What made us decide to say, okay, right, we've done the van, we've done what we want with it. Let's upgrade. Why don't we go and get a boat? What was where did the chat? Was it always going to be a boat, or was it just "Oh, we're bored with this, let's go into the find a boat"? Tell me a little bit about this story and how
Yeah.
that
So
came about.
we used to dream about someday being on a sailboat, but we don't know anything about sailing. We didn't know how we would ever afford a sailboat. So it was really just kind of a fantasy for the future without a real goal behind it,
hmm
just a
hmm
dream. And we were very happy living in our van driving around.
Yeah, yeah.
But we had a moment while we were out camping in Canada and Alaska that changed things for us.
Yeah, I mean, we had always, we spent the better part of 8 years living full time in vans and traveling all of
Oh,
North America, all of Central America, and
wow, that's
never
cool.
wanted to leave the beach, right? We were always staring at the ocean and thinking, there'd be a boat in the bay, and we're like, oh, that life must be so great, so simple, no work, We were so wrong. We're, we're camping in Alaska one night, as Jen said, and we're standing around a campfire with this guy. And we're just thinking about how amazing this lifestyle is. And he's just bitter. He's angry. He's upset. And so we're asking questions like, well, what's
Oh.
wrong? You know, your van looks awesome. And he's like, yeah, I want to be on a boat. I'm a sailor. We're like, well, why aren't you still on a boat? And he said, yeah, I'm getting old. My body's breaking down. I just can't do it anymore. It's too hard on the body. And we looked at ourselves, and I think it just clicked, right? That it was a lifelong dream, but it was also a dream that we knew for a fact we were giving up when we quit our jobs and ran away, right?
Mhm.
And so we went back to the van and we were up most of the night just kind of talking about life choices and what do we want to do. And just in pure irony, um, we had taken one of the renovations that we had done and we pulled money out of it to do another one. And the city said, no, you can't do that. And so we just had this cash that we're like, well, do we put it back into that? What do we do with it?
Let's buy a
And
sailboat.
we just decided,
Yeah.
which is the worst decision ever, obviously. And so we, not knowing how to sail, not knowing anything about boats, we started looking around and we put an offer on a boat 3 days later, and the offer was accepted. And
Three
so,
days
like,
later. It's like, you don't muck about, eh? It's like, we've made our decision.
We
Let's go
didn't
get
mess
a
around.
boat.
Yeah.
so we went from excited about the idea, terrified, but we sold our van, which we had to do to help pay for the boat,
Yeah, yeah.
loaded into a rental car, drove across country, and showed up at the dock, and then looked at it and went,
Whoa.
what, like, this is,
We have a lot to learn.
what if we get seasick? What if the dog gets seasick? Like,
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah.
and so we just moved aboard and started slowly teaching ourselves how to live on a boat and how to sail.
And did you just at the start, did you kind of, until you found your feet with it, did you just kind of only go out so far and like stayed kind of near the dock, I take it, until you kind of got used to, or did you just be like, let's just go, we can
No,
find out on the way?
we had a little bit of time because we bought a boat that wasn't one that people lived on. They just used it for like weekends and day sails.
I see,
Um,
right, okay.
And so what we wanted to do was live on it full time. So we needed to outfit it with more solar and more
Mhm.
like a water maker and just things that made it a little bit more like off grid, self sustainable for long periods of time. So we were on the dock for about 5 weeks while
Mhm.
they were finishing up projects. So that gave us an opportunity to really wrap our heads around, okay, what do we need to learn before we leave this dock and go
Yeah.
out in the open ocean?
Oh, wow, that must have been scary though, at that point of just thinking, like, yeah, like
Yeah,
we've got
Pretty
this
terrible.
now, we've got 5 weeks, 5 weeks is the deadline, and then we're going to learn how to actually
yeah,
just go out.
Well, it's funny you asked the
yeah.
question, did we slowly just do a little more and a little more? And I was like, yeah. And then I'm like, wait,
Well,
most people might not think that if we only had 5 weeks, right?
No, 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 I was thinking, good couple of months, maybe 6 months, get used to it, find your way. 5 weeks.
yeah,
Yeah.
I
So
love it.
our third sail ever was across the Gulf Stream, which is where you leave the US
America.
and go to the Caribbean, which has a lot of kind of gnarly weather and currents and things like this that we at the time knew
Jeez, oh.
about, right?
Yeah,
But that was our goal, was to get to the islands and the pretty sand and the pretty beaches and
Mm-hmm.
snorkeling.
paradise. Yeah,
And so yeah, we just kept going and kept kind of, I don't know, trying to be okay with the fear and do it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And that's still kind of how we do it today. Like, the fear's not gone. Like, we're
No.
not brave by any means. It's not about that. We're terrified most of the time. But it's worth it, right? Like, the moments of
Yeah.
fear are far, far blanketed by
Mm-hmm.
all of the magical moments and all the beauty and all the nature and the peace and the happiness and all the other things that we're
Totally. It is, and it's so true because it's a saying, isn't it? It's like feel the fear and do it anyway. Because once you actually overcome that or you get past that fear, then on the other side of that is something totally magical, and
well
you can
said.
totally talk yourself out of doing something, but yous are definitely the feel the fear and do it anyway couple.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. And I think it's really clear to sailors that you're never going to be an expert at sailing. It's just never
Hmm.
going to happen. The Mother Nature is always going to throw things
Hmm.
at you that are just unpredicted or um, um, something you've never experienced before. And so you're always going to be learning. And I think
Yeah.
since that is so clear to sailors, I think it's also an analogy really for life. Like, no one tells you this, but you're never going to have it all figured out. You're always going to get thrown like these mysteries and these surprises, and some of them are amazing and some of them are awful, and
Yeah.
you have to roll with what comes your way, and you
Mhm.
continually learn. And when things are amazing, appreciate every moment, and when things are low, endure through it, because there's that's just life. And
Yeah. I love what you're saying. And do you know what's so funny, Jen, is I've actually got a tattoo on me, and
wow.
it says, "This too shall pass."
Yep.
This too shall
Amazing.
pass. And that was the reason that I got that, because in my life there's been ups and downs and roller coasters. And
Yes.
it's just learning to, like you said, appreciate the good when it's there,
Yeah.
because good will come. But when the obstacles arrive, no, it's not forever, and you overcome it. So what you just
Yeah.
said just straight away was like, that goes with my quote.
Well, you inked your
Loved.
body with it, so
I have, just as that reminder all the time.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, cool.
And so like, tell me all about your sailing adventures, like the good, the bad, and the ugly, because like you said, you've obviously navigated literally different waters throughout, going on your ventures,
Yeah.
on your adventures.
We did several years in the Caribbean, just going up and down the island chain, just hopping to different islands, and it was just and learning to sail, especially our first year,
Hmm.
learning everything was new, weather and routing and boat maintenance and boat operation, and just everything was just brand new. We did that for a few years, and then we actually crossed the Pacific Ocean to the South Pacific, and we've done that
Wow.
for a couple of years. Yeah, it's
which was not a goal for us, right? I mean,
no.
we've never been in any of this to check things off, right?
Okay.
To say we've been to X countries or we've done this.
Hmm.
And so for us, people that we would meet would talk about, oh, we're going to go sail across the Pacific. I'm like, you guys are crazy.
Or we're
Like,
going to
that's,
circumnavigate the
yeah,
world.
it's not
People
going to.
say that too, and we're like, you're crazy.
I mean, so it's not that we set out to do that. I don't even know if we ever
Yeah.
actually decided to do that, but here we are on the other side, or we were on the other side.
I think I know why we did it. Because we love the underwater. We love to snorkel and dive, and we love to like experience the wildlife and like
Hmm.
in their habitat and their behavior, and just like it's magic for us. It's where our brains are
It's our
just
happy place.
happy, and
Yeah.
our
Yeah.
bodies are happy. And we saw some pictures of the fish and the wildlife that were in the South Pacific, and we're like, well, there's a whole new world over there. Let's go over there.
Let's go and actually check this out.
Yeah.
I know, because I've seen so many, and I just used to think, you're so brave, because you're actually in the water, and it's like you're so close in so
Yeah.
many instances with this, like you said, like this wildlife, this natural, and it's just, I've seen the pictures and the videos, and I'm like, wow, that is just, it's like something for a movie. It's phenomenal.
Those are
For us too.
That's the highlights for sure, right? I mean, that's
Yeah.
why we put up with the weather and all the maintenance and everything else, is so that we get to do that every day. Because for us, it's literally one step off the back of the boat, right? To do the thing that we love the most. Like, I'm highly ADHD.
Hmm.
Jen can sit and stare at the ocean and be happy, which is awesome for her. I've got like 20 screens going at all times, and I'm trying to, tune out at least 17 of them. And so the only place that it really gets calm and quiet for me is when I'm underwater, right? And so I think for me,
Really?
it's not just a happy place. It's the only kind of quiet, calm place that I've ever found.
Yeah.
And so that's a large reason why we keep chasing this, right? And
That's
as
amazing.
we moved along, further and further, this kind of funny thing happened where all of a sudden everyone we're around is now not the odd person saying they might go across the Pacific. There are people saying we are going to cross the Pacific. And then as we get to Panama, they're all crossing within 3 months. And then suddenly it's people all going within a week. And, when we were trying to leave our jobs and move into a van, the peer pressure was the opposite, right? It was everybody saying, you're
Hmm.
crazy. You can't do
Yeah.
that. You're going to fail.
Hmm.
And then the closer and closer we got, it's like, well, there's nobody telling us we can't. In fact, everybody we know is going.
Yeah,
And
they're all
you know,
telling you to come along. Yeah,
yeah, so
yeah,
the fear just kind of gets swooped up with the normalcy that it's becoming, right? And we talk
yeah.
about this all the time that, when we were at home working jobs that we hated, all we needed was one person to be like, it's going to
Mhm.
be fine. Quit your job, go find happiness. And we would have just left and cut bait. But we never met
Yeah,
that. We never met
yeah,
anybody that had done anything remotely like this. And now that we've done it on the other side, all we do is spend time with people that did a similar thing and that are chasing a similar dream. But you don't
yeah.
meet them when you're sitting at home, right? You only meet them
So
when you
true.
start taking steps in that direction.
Good point.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
So, so true. It's who you surround yourself with. And I think when you surround yourself with, which is natural, with people that you've all done the same routine, the same thing for such a long time, their fears are then going to go onto you and stop you for doing something that they do think's crazy, doing this. But like you said, when you find your people, you find the people that have broke the mold and, kind of came out the matrix almost, to be honest, and doing that they're this encouragement to be like, hey, the go-getters, like, let's go do this. And it does
Yeah,
make a massive, massive difference
it
to
does.
your confidence to go and do something like going, we can do this, let's go.
Yeah. And people think that we're crazy, like we're the Dangerz, right? But we're not. Like we've met so many people way crazier and way more dangerous than us, for sure. We are mellow compared to some of these people we've met.
Yeah, you are nice and chill.
We are very chill.
we're try.
And what's your experiences with the wildlife when you've been there then? If underwater means so much when you've been doing all your snorkeling, or even just when you've been floating about on your stuff, like what's came across your path? What have you found when you've
Yeah,
been
well,
doing that?
there you can be with pelagic life, like giant sea creatures like manta rays and whales and sharks, or you can be with the juvenile fish, watching them dart around coral reef. And then everything in between. So sea turtles and eagle rays. We've swam with like solo creatures before, but then schools of fish, and it's
Oh,
always different every time you get in the water. You have no idea. Is it going to be a really active day? Is it going to be a really sleepy day? Is something going to happen that you've never seen before? One of our
oh,
favorites is the octopus. Like we can spend hours watching an octopus just hunting, like, looking for something delicious to eat or moving through the water or even just hiding in a hole, like, maybe sticking a tentacle out, like just checking how
yeah.
the deal is around the little octi den. But and then there's the whole like fishing thing, like lobster. We eat lobster, and in the Caribbean we ate a lot of lobster that Brian caught for us. Like just
Wow.
never ending. Yeah. Now you can go. I could talk for 10 hours about this.
Well, about this
But
subject, yeah. I mean, this is where our hearts are, right? I mean,
you
it's
can
crazy.
see
We
it.
talk to people all the time that are like, "Oh, you guys must get so bored just sitting on your boat all day." We're like, what are you talking about?
You're like,
Oh,
no.
We we don't have enough minutes in the day to finish all the projects we have, much less to spend time with the octopus and the fish and the shark and the yeah.
yeah.
I mean, it would never get old to us. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it would. Maybe eventually we have another one of these and we're like, you know what, Michelle, we were wrong. We got bored.
No, I
I
disagree.
don't know.
I disagree. And then when you just take it past the wildlife, like take it to the sky, the stars, the clouds, sunrises
Mhm.
and sunsets. Did you know every month the sun rises and the moon sets at exactly the same time every month all over the world? It's part of the cycle. We don't know this because we have buildings and trees and obstacles and clouds. But when you are on a boat and you have a clear horizon, every month
Oh,
you can see this. And you can see the
wow.
sun sets, the moon rises at the same time, and then same thing, the next morning when the sun rises, the moon is setting. It is magic. I didn't
I
even
was
know
going
it
to
existed. Yeah.
That must have been like phenomenal to witness this, like you
There were
said,
tears.
just in this clear. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And the amount of rainbows that we've seen in the last 6 years is mind blowing. There must be thousands of rainbows, and they're always different colors and different shapes. Sometimes it's a double. We've seen a triple.
Oh, wow.
Sometimes it's just like a square rainbow in a cloud. It's not even see,
Like a
I
full one.
How much
Yeah.
time do we
do
have,
you
Michelle?
can you tell that I love
We have as much time as we need, guys.
We're
We've
gonna need a
still
couple of days. Yeah. Can you tell we're having a horrible time?
Okay, Bry,
Yes. So
please,
passionate though. I
yeah,
love this.
Bry has a different experience than I do because he can dive even deeper than me. And he is definitely in his element underwater.
Yeah.
But just maybe say a couple of the moments that really stick out for you as like, wow.
I mean, all of them. So the atolls that we stay at in French Polynesia, now that we've crossed the Pacific, the
Hmm.
last place we were on the boat is French Polynesia. And
Hmm.
so we're at these little atolls. Most of them don't have other people, no humans. And we'll just stay for weeks or months at a time. And our daily kind of ritual between the ritual of sunrise and sunset is
Yeah.
to pick the right time to go out the pass. So there's a mouth to the circle where all the water rushes out and rushes in, right? And so if you time it right when water's rushing in, so you don't get swept out to sea, you
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
dinghy to the outside and we'll jump in and just kind of hold on to the dinghy and just float. And it's kind of like an adult amusement park ride. So it'll be anywhere, from 3 to 5 miles per hour, right? And you just kind of drift along and watch whatever's happening around you. So you're not even having to work for it. You're just kind of drifting and watching as, a turtle or a manta ray or 200 sharks will play beneath you. And for us, every single time we do this, when we get to the other side, we look at each other, we climb in the dinghy, and it's like we're giddy school children. We're just like, yeah, more, again, again. And so we just go back out and we just keep doing it, right? And it's
Amazing.
just the most fun. I mean, not for everybody, I'm sure.
I
Not everybody's like, can we go swim with 200 sharks? But for us,
was just gonna say.
yeah, or we'll do the same thing, but take a spear gun and try and like catch a tuna with all the sharks there. Then it gets a little exciting for sure.
Sketchy.
But for us, like,
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
yeah, this is what when people join us, and we actually haven't had that many guests. It's one of the things we're excited to do now is start finding ways to
Great.
share the experience with more people
Yeah.
or help
Uh-huh.
them with goal setting, help them find their own
Hmm.
freedom while amidst nature, right? But when
Hmm.
people get on the boat, this is the first thing we want to take them to do, right? Because this is what we love so much. And so
I
many
like
guests
how
are like,
you're ready for this.
Yeah,
we're like, what's your shark experience? And do you know what to do? And they're like, can we go sit on the beach with a cocktail?
we
Like
can
that's
do
not,
that too. Yes, we can do it all.
yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. And do you know what is so funny, right? And I've got an absolute irrational fear of sharks. And I think it's just because my mum, remember when Jaws came out, right?
Yeah.
Obviously.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, right. And I was just tiny. And I don't know why, but she let me watch Jaws. And even to this day, I just like I've had this fear of sharks
Oh,
ever since. And even though now as an adult, I'll, I'll watch on the telly and I'm like, it's a mechanical, it's not real, like nothing is. It's been embedded in me since I was a child. So,
yeah.
you
But
know,
most people do.
Yeah.
I mean, we've actually had a couple
yeah,
guests now.
Because of that movie,
Yeah,
actually.
for
yeah.
sure.
That is a scary movie.
It's so crazy because you watch it and you're like, what a lot of nonsense. But if you've seen it when you were younger, that's like it's in your nervous system already that you're like, sharks. But I love going if it's like a sea life centre and I watch them. They're amazing creatures and they're beautiful and I can, appreciate their beauty. But when I go into if I go in for like a swim in the sea, if I'm away anywhere, I always only go so far because I have got this fear that a shark's gonna be like, "Oh, you look a bit tasty." Do you know? So it's like always never been scared of sharks, and is this something you've just come to? I don't know, just like
Well, when
appreciate,
you
love, and be safe.
when you come visit on the boat, we'll we'll show you the
I'm gonna
appropriate
jump in
way.
that thing and get whooshed along.
Imagine this, Michelle, that you're sitting on the beach and there's shallow turquoise water and everything's very mellow and zen and calm. And a shark about this big with its cute little fin is swimming around with his little fin out of the water and you're just watching him. I mean, that's a shark experience that you could probably really enjoy.
Yeah, that's it. Just sit there and be like, oh, you're nice from afar.
Very cute. Yeah.
Very cute. But yeah, did you have to overcome that yourself, or did you just kind of did you learn to kind of trust or know different sharks when you were in the water? Because you're going to have to know if they're dangerous, obviously, in some way, because they're going to be inquisitive, aren't they? So yeah, how
Yeah.
have you had to navigate that?
Well, I'll start, but I'll let Bryce speak more because he loves the sharks, like loves the sharks. Um, but I was afraid as well. I've really gotten over my fear because in watching Brian interact with sharks, or not really interact with them, but he wasn't afraid and they never cared about him either. So I learned over and over by observation that they're not trying to eat me. They are just curious, so they'll come in and do a little pass, but they're really I'm not their food chain. The other thing is Brian always has like a GoPro or some little underwater camera with him when he's just in case we see something mating or or
Yeah,
like
just
creatures
something. Yeah,
fighting and like we're gonna get something really cool
yeah.
on camera. And so he'll go towards the shark as opposed to, just staying still or swimming away. And the shark is not interested and will swim away. So
Oh, wow.
it's interesting to just from watching others that
Hmm.
are comfortable, that's helped me get over my fear.
Yeah, and it's almost like an energy thing as well, because we're all energy, aren't we? So if
Yeah.
you're going in with this fear, then they probably pick up on that energy in some way. And because you've been so relaxed, it's
Yeah.
allowed that exchange, maybe.
I mean, they're more afraid of us than we are of them, almost all of them. And so, I
Yeah,
mean, if you live in the ocean and you're a fish or a shark and you get injured, you're dead, right? There's no hospital.
yeah,
So
yeah.
obviously, none of these creatures want to get injured in any way. And so even the sharks
Hmm.
tend to be more afraid and shy of us than we are of them. And for me,
Yeah.
this wasn't, of all the other things I'm still terrified of, sharks, that wasn't it, right? Like I wanted to be a marine biologist when I was a kid to study sharks,
Oh,
but
did you?
it because everybody said, "Oh, there's no money in it. You're going to be miserable. You'll live on a
Hmm.
boat. Your wife and kids will leave you. You'll die alone. All the things." Um,
All
and
the
so
negative talk. Yeah.
Thanks so much. Yeah.
that happened with a couple of different career choices for me. Um, and so, yeah, for me, that wasn't like I have a horrible fear of heights, right? And so having
Oh,
to climb
same.
a mast is a problem that
Hmm.
has to be dealt with. But sharks is definitely not it. I just think they're beautiful, majestic creatures, and
Hmm.
I could spend all day in the water watching and just kind of observing. That's
And
not a
and we do respect the fact that this is their element
problem.
and
Yes.
we're a guest in their home basically. And
Hmm.
there have been times when something didn't feel right, so we back away, we get out of the water, but for the most part, yeah, they're misunderstood.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's used and it's used being aware as well, I think, and
Yeah.
really being aware of when you're in the water and you pick up on something not being right, and retreating or doing that. So you've got to, that's interesting as well.
Which also is an analogy for life where like there's this spot, this space between like pushing yourself past your fear, but also realizing your limits of where you really should push yourself in
Yes.
just finding that like that balance.
I love that philosophy.
Yeah.
That's lovely.
Still working on that one. Yeah, a
Yeah.
lot. Yeah.
Oh yeah, balance doesn't run strong in these two. We're like over here and then over here and then up here.
Well, I'm exactly the same. I've never found my balance. I'm a like, oh, there's an idea, something shiny. Let's go.
Yep.
Let's try and relax or let's do this. Yeah.
Yeah,
All
Well, it's
yeah.
impossible to know if you went too far until you've gotten there and you bounce back, and so then you just keep moving the boundaries in, right? I mean, I'm convinced we'll get to
Yes.
balance eventually. I just don't know how long that's going to take, right?
Yeah, it could take a lifetime, but it's the art and trying, eh?
that's
And so what? where is it that you have all visited then? Like, can you remember like where you've all been? Like, where is all the top places? Like, because how many countries, areas have you actually been in then with your with your full travels?
I don't even know. I would say,
30s or 40s. I have no idea.
yeah, probably 30 or 40 if you just count all the Caribbean islands
Mm-hmm.
um and the yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, there's how many countries have we been to, but then there's also how many islands have we been to because
Yeah.
like the Bahamas has like
Several hundred on its own. Yeah.
yeah, a few hundred and French Polynesia has a few hundred and you know there's yeah, it's magic. It
Yeah.
really
I mean,
is.
there's always ones that stick out. It's a large part of why we've almost from day one, we started a blog to take photos and to write about our travels,
Mm-hmm.
mostly to share with friends and family, but then also just so that we had a photo album of where we'd been so we could go back and look at the memories. And then
Mm-hmm.
we kind of gravitated that more to Instagram, and now we're trying to do both. But without that journal, that record to go back and flip through, it's tough. I mean, we see so many places that, we'll be, oh, where was that place? And we'll just, scroll back for a few hours and find that place. I'm like, oh yeah, that was great. We should do that again.
Oh
But
yeah.
yeah, it's really interesting because for us, it's not really about the sail. We
Mm-hmm.
do love sailing. We love how calm it is. We love that it's silent and it's just, moving with the winds.
Yeah.
But it's really for us about the destination, right? It's once we get there, just kind of absorbing and enjoying nature and just nothing but nature in most cases, right? As you saw when we tried to be normal and go to an event in London, our problem is trying to re-immerse after months of seeing no one at all into suddenly being around dozens or hundreds of people, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
our at this point is trying to
Yeah.
be normal in social environments.
Yeah. And I think even that as well, like myself, I'm quite an outgoing kind of person, but when I'm immersed with so many people, and then I feel so tired after it. I'm like, wow, I'm a little bit of an introvert stroke extrovert, finding the balance.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah,
Finding the balance.
we say that we're extroverts with the right people,
Yeah.
but mostly we're
Yes,
introverts. Yeah.
I'm the same. I love that. Very, very true. Yeah, the right people bring you out, and then you can
Yeah.
just, yeah,
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 and you don't get
absolutely.
drained and you don't get exhausted.
Mhm.
You just really get
Your
recharged.
energy gets lifted. Yes, yes, 100%. And so, what's the next episode of the Dangerz then? What's
Good
what's
question.
episode? Yes.
Yeah, the last couple of months have been pretty interesting. I mean, we've done this a couple times where we hate to say run out of money, but we kind of bounce off the bottom a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Something
Mm-hmm.
goes unplanned and it
Yeah.
rattles age a little bit. And so we actually lost our business last year to kind of an issue with a narcissist business partner and found ourselves having to reset, right?
Oh,
And obviously,
shit. Okay.
Polynesia is not the cheapest place to live, and we're living on a boat. And we tried to sell our house back home, which we still owned, and that wasn't selling. And so
Okay.
we just got to the point where we're like, look, we need to do the safe move here. So we listed the boat
Mhm.
for sale and left the boat.
Must have been hard.
It was
Mm-hmm.
very
Mm-hmm.
hard.
Yep.
Still is hard, actually.
It's
Mm-hmm.
Um,
hard, but also we're optimistic because well, I do know that the universe will provide and that
Love.
everything is going to be all right. And
Mm-hmm.
we still are in control of our future. We still get to make choice. And that is
Mm-hmm.
a beautiful gift that we are aware that we have.
and that's exactly
Love.
what we're doing right now. So we left the boat to travel because
Mm-hmm.
sitting and waiting on a boat that's listed for sale was not our best life, right? We'd be sitting in
Yeah.
a marina in a city. And so we
Mm-hmm.
decided
Mm-hmm.
to go travel and try some different experiences. And our house did sell, so at least we have a safety net now.
Good.
And we're still
Good.
waiting now as tempting as it was to just run straight back to the boat, we'd already made that decision, right? And so now we're waiting to see what happens. And um, if the perfect buyer comes along and is a good fit for the boat and who she's meant to be with, then they'll go
That
enjoy
would
her,
happen. Yeah.
and we'll
Yes.
probably find a new to us boat. And if
Yes.
the right buyer doesn't come along by the end of this season in the fall, we will happily go back and resume the lifestyle that we were living in French Polynesia.
Yeah.
And until then, we have no idea, Michelle.
Yeah. We're just waiting to see what happens and trying to stay really open to the outcome.
Hmm. That's amazing because I know it's like people, well, most people, everybody has some kind of plan, not so far in advance, but even like a week, what are you doing next week, kind of this, and yous are just like, we're just see
Yeah.
what
We've
happens.
tried. Yeah, we actually started once we were in the van and truly
Hmm.
nomadic. I mean, basically we've been nomadic for 13 years, right? So
Hmm.
at some point we just made a decision, both in terms of location for travel and then just happiness overall, right? We kind of get
Yeah.
up every morning, and now it's unspoken, but we actually used to ask each other the question, like, are you happy? Is this where you want to be? And if either of us were like, no, I don't think so, we were gone like within hours. And now on the boat, we obviously have to at least check weather and make sure we can do that.
Hmm.
But it's really hard for us to plan even a few days out because we're so used to now kind of just checking in with ourselves and seeing how we feel and then moving on whenever we prefer to be somewhere else.
Beautiful, because it's something that I think everybody needs to learn to do because it's almost kind of robotic, isn't it, when you're doing the same kind of style of life here, and you need to kind of check in on your emotions or check on if you're happy, if you're going in the right direction, if you're feeling stuck. But that's when there's like a big obstacle comes up. But actually, just in general, you should be kind of asking yourself or your partner or your kids or anybody that question every so often, probably like you said, every couple of days or a week or whatever, and saying, are you happy? Is there anything in your dress? That's magical. I'll absolutely love that. I love that you are moving through life on your emotions and your happiness and tapping into what your needs are. That's magic.
And
Love.
that is the magic,
I think
right?
so
Because
too.
Hmm.
we
Yeah.
didn't ask ourselves that before because we didn't trust there was an answer that we could take, right? If you
Hmm.
we felt so stuck where we
Yeah.
were that you don't ask yourself if you want something else because you don't believe you can have it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's
So
why
true. So true.
I feel so committed to sharing everything about it. I mean, we've shared our life really transparently for 13 years.
Hmm.
And it's not because, I mean, we've never accepted a dime for it. We don't have a YouTube channel. I mean, it's not a way to fund our travel.
Hmm.
It's because I truly feel like Jen saved me. Jen's crazy idea to go be happy saved me from feeling completely stuck and miserable. And I have no question, Michelle, I would be dead. I would have already had a heart attack and died at my desk or in a Hertz rental car bus on the way to a job. And
Yeah.
not everybody gets lucky enough to have Jen move in next door or a Jen move in next door, right? And so to me, it's why we share this so openly, because people just need to know that there is another path, that there are other
Hmm.
options, that there are people out there doing the thing that you want to do,
Yeah.
and they're
And are
actually
scared. Hmm.
really happy to talk to you about it, right? Or help you get there.
Yeah.
But none of us know that, right? When we're sitting in that
Hmm.
place feeling stuck.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's just, it's so lovely to just hear you speak like that. It's just like, you said
It,
we
I,
was lucky to have a Jen next door, and I was like,
uh,
oh,
it's
that's
it's
so cute.
lovely, but I
It
do
is.
want to add that he has to deal with a lot. That's behind the scenes, if you know what I mean. So
Yeah,
thanks.
no, us women, we'll take that, yeah. Oh. But it's lovely, and it's amazing how this meeting of fate, which has obviously happened because you guys met, and you, Brian, just changing your mindset and obviously wanting to have that life of freedom, but navigating that, this, oh, like, I don't know if I can do that, and where it's actually now brought you and your way of thinking and the way you're feeling and the way you move through life. Like you said, imagine, living that life that was already designed for you before at your desk, unhappy, the outcome could have been so, so different for you. and now you're here and you inspire probably so many more people than probably what you realize, just for being true to yourself and your
Yeah.
journey.
It really lights us up when we hear people say, I'm making a big change. I'm going after my dream. I'm really gonna go after my passion, or I'm gonna start a business doing what I love or whatever. But we also are lit up when we hear people say, I love my job. I absolutely
Mm-hmm.
love, where I am in life. Like, it doesn't matter. I love like my kids, whatever it is. If you love it, that's what you should be spending your energy towards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so true. That's it, because there's not one way's right or one way's wrong. It's
No.
everybody's got their own path. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not what other people are doing. It's what feels right for each and every one of us.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, these are things we just didn't know before, but it seems so clear now that we've been doing this for a while. But before, we didn't know you could just be like, I can just do whatever I want because it makes me happy. I just have to find a way to make it sustainable. Okay, well, let's do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, let's find a way to make that happen. I want that happiness. Let's get on that train. Let's
Yeah.
go.
No, I mean, these are now our favorite conversations, right? Whether it's because we met
Mm-hmm.
somebody around a campfire, whether because we're doing a podcast with someone,
Mm-hmm.
whether they've called specifically to ask us to help, right? Help problem solve
Yeah.
or help creative think. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
what better could we be talking about than trying to figure out how to help everyone find the kind of freedom and
Yeah.
joy that we kind of accidentally stumbled upon, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we don't have all the answers. We still don't have most of the answers,
No.
but we certainly stumbled upon something that feels amazing, and we are not going to let it go, right?
No, no.
So yeah, it's yeah.
And
I mean,
and
we have so
probably,
much gratitude, Michelle.
yep.
Every single day, every sunrise, every sunset. I mean,
For sure.
we are so, we know it could all go away tomorrow, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
and all of this could change, and we just have to start over again. The only difference is that now, and I'm still, again, Jen, none of this is scary to Jen. For me, when it comes to those financial questions, when it comes to, the future 10 years, 20 years down the line, those are the things that have always kind of been more difficult for me.
Yeah.
And it's odd now that even those are getting easier because we don't have any more answers, but I trust more and more that we've reinvented ourselves X times before.
Yeah.
We can do it again now, right? And so
Yeah.
somehow along the line, confidence just starts to, or comfort, I guess is a better word, right?
Yeah.
Starts to just come into play. And whether that's, finding a way to not feel stuck, to
Mhm.
ask yourself what happiness really is, to speak your mind and have a voice when you've spent your whole life not having one, whatever those things are, like it's baby steps, right? I mean,
Mhm.
it's absolutely one step forward at a time. Even if that first step's in completely the wrong direction, at least it moved you
That's,
from the place
yeah.
you're standing and makes you have to kind of adjust and bounce off those guardrails, right?
Yeah, you learned
Yeah.
something and it pointed you in the direction that you should be going.
Exactly. Exactly. And like I said, it's taking that first step for anything and into the unknown is better than staying where you are, Absolutely.
Unless you're
Oh, unless you're happy
perfectly
there.
content where you are, which if you are, that is what we're all looking for, so stay there.
We're jealous of you,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. If your life is absolutely, you couldn't make it any better at all, just you chill.
Yes, you've got it going on. Yes, good on you.
Yeah. Oh, well, this conversation has been absolutely amazing. And honestly,
Read.
thank you so much. You guys just make me smile all the time. You are just
You.
so, because they're just so lovely. You are so open. Everything you've done, I'm just like, wow. There's honestly, as to me, I'm like, wow. I don't know if I could do the things, but when I see it, I think, oh, I maybe could. That would be amazing having this, like seeing everything that you've seen. If watching, like, it's like watching it through your eyes when I look at it on the Instagram page and everything. And I'm just like, wow, I'd love to experience a part of that someday.
Oh yeah, I like this, and
You're
I
welcome anytime, Michelle.
I'm like that, right? Get your crystal ball out. What's happening? No, that sounds wonderful. I shall definitely take you up. Cocktail and a little tiny
Yeah,
little shark.
baby shark.
Baby
Baby
shark.
shark. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and also it you're you're doing what you're supposed to be doing with this podcast. You're so natural.
So
Your questions are so amazing. Your energy, I mean, we already knew this, but even on the computer, your energy is so wonderful.
infectious.
You are a force, girlfriend. You
Wait, we're not
Thank
done,
you.
right? Isn't this when we
No, we're not done. We're
questions
not
and talk
done.
about you?
No, we can sit here all day. I'll get comfy, no.
No, I want to start asking questions about you. We don't have to talk about us. It's
All
better.
right. Oh,
Just turn it
I
around.
was turning the podcast on me. All right. Okay. Right, wait a minute. Right. Okay. Go. No, no. Next time. You can interview me
Okay.
next.
All right.
No,
We'll
you
start.
can ask questions if you want. But I came up with the idea if you're going to ask about the podcast. I came up with the idea and I kind of just was like, do you know, I think that I'm good on like video and just, I like speaking to people and I just feel like I need to put my energy forward and do something. And that's when I thought about the podcast, which I had done previously, but it was me just kind of not on screen. It was just me blethering, to the phone telling them about my silly journeys that had happened that day. And I called it after my book, Finding Life's Meaning in Your Mum Pants.
Yep, yep.
So I just kind of started with that, but I stopped doing it for like just over the year. And I always thought, I've always wanted to interview people and speak to people and find out people's stories of real life. There's so much you can cover. And I thought I need to rebrand this and asking the universe for some guidance. And I was like, what am I going to call this? Like, I want it to cover everybody's stories, nothing's off topic, whatever. And I was like, I want it to be the whole. And then I was like, oh, the whole hog, and then obviously it goes covering the whole hog, like everything. And then I literally just that day when I decided, I was like, that's the name. It's called the whole hog. It goes with my surname. I am doing this podcast again. And as soon as I put it up and said, right, and I went on Canva, took my picture, stuck it on the thing, and called it the whole hog and all that. And I just put it out there and was like looking for guests, and I think there was like 22 people. I was like, right, there we go. Thank you. Thank you for the way to be shown.
So cool.
Perfect.
Very cool.
Can't wait to watch every one of them.
Yeah.
And you are really, I will agree with Jen. I don't always, you're really good at it. I mean, we hate being on camera, and this was actually really fun, right? So
Good.
good on you. Yeah.
Good. It's like just a conversation with friends, like we're having a little FaceTime.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
And so, if people are wanting to be following your journey or your blog or anything that you're doing, just tell them about that just now so you can hear that. And then I can always put that in when I'm sharing it on YouTube as well so they can contact you.
Yeah. Again, at some point, people started calling us the Dangerz and didn't know our name. So most everything is just the Dangerz with a Z at the end instead of an S. So
That,
Instagram, the Dangerz, thedangerz.com. That'll get you most places. And please, if anyone out there is watching and this sparks something and there's that we can help in any way or have one of these conversations, give us a ring or shoot us an email. We'd love to talk.
Yeah.
amazing, amazing. Well, thank you so much. What's your Friday evening adventure ahead then? Are you?
Oh,
I didn't know it was Friday, so thanks to that.
yeah. Well, it's a beautiful, clear day here in France, and we have a view of the ocean. So we're gonna have
Oh, beautiful.
that. And then we're gonna actually book travel because we don't know where we're sleeping tomorrow night.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so we're not gonna stay here, but we don't know where we're gonna go. We've got some ideas, so we'll spend some time on that.
Yeah, we met a guy today that we spent a good deal of time talking with, and he's from Belgium, and he couldn't stop talking about how lovely it was. So we're thinking
take the train
maybe
to
tomorrow
Belgium.
we take a train to Belgium.
Yeah.
Well, I can't wait to find out where you end up by the end of the weekend. This is going to
Us
be
too, yeah.
I'll be like looking at the Instagram. Where did they go?
Yeah. Well, it so turns out that the Champagne region of France is kind of in between here where we are and Belgium. So I was like,
Oh, there's an idea. I could
we
go
need to go
between.
there and have a glass of champagne.
En route.
En route. I mean, it's on the way.
We'll keep you posted. Yeah, we
Yeah, keep me posted. Absolutely. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure, guys, honestly. Hand
Yeah.
on heart, loved it. Thank you so, so much for
Same.
coming on and sharing your experiences. And I'll get this up for others to absolutely love and enjoy as well.
Thank you, Michelle.
you're awesome. We'll talk soon.
Thank you. Talk soon. Take care. See you
Bye-bye.
later.
Bye.
Bye.